The Russian government is preparing for provocations against its own population on the eve of May the 9th. Advisor to the head of the presidential office, Mikhailo Podolyak, stated on air that this is not the first time Moscow has acted according to a similar scenario. Provocations, in his opinion, are a familiar tool for the Kremlin system. As for provocations, he is from a specific special service, and for them, provocation is an element, a mandatory element of the work they do, Podolyak said. He recalled the events of 2000 when Putin came to power. Then, as Podolyak noted, the Second Chechen War began, which also started with provocations. The Russians, he said, have repeatedly attacked their own populations under the guise of terrorist attacks or drone strikes. That is, attack is through terrorist attacks, or attack it through drones. We have never seen rather strange, let's say, attacks on civilians in Russia when they supposedly shoot down drones, but as a rule they hit their own apartment buildings, Podolyak explained. He emphasized that such attacks are used to create an information picture. The Russian government, in his opinion, acts cynically and prudently. They will do it on the 9th, that's for sure. That is, inside Russia. Podolyak is sure. He also said that the Kremlin is using domestic terrorist attacks to mobilize the population. This is done to maintain a high level of strange, senile patriotism. The goal of such actions is to push Russians to participate in the war against Ukraine. Podolyak recalled that the Russian authorities had used similar scenarios before. In particular, the accusations of explosions during the Second Chechen War were placed on Chechens and Dagestanis, although the secret services themselves were behind it. He also criticized Putin's calls for a ceasefire. He believes that the Kremlin wants to stop the fighting only on the Ukrainian side while continuing its aggression. According to him, the number of attacks in Ukraine has increased sharply in recent weeks. Look, in April, I want you and I to pay attention to this. They significantly increased attacks on the civilian population. More than 850 people were killed by Russians. Civilians, Podolyak said. He noted that the strikes are being carried out on peaceful objects. The targets are residential buildings and other infrastructure that has no military significance. According to his data, Russia used about 4,500 missiles and drones in a month. This is 43% more than in the same period last year.
Yemen's Houthi rebels released footage showing a massive fire at a cement factory following an Israeli airstrike targeting Hodeidah late Monday. According to Associated Press, Israel's military targeted Houthi rebels in Yemen's Red Sea city of Hodeidah with a punishing round of airstrikes, a day after the Iranian-backed rebels launched a missile that hit Israel's main airport. The rebels' media office said at least 6 strikes hit the crucial Hodeidah port Monday afternoon. Other strikes hit a cement factory in the Bajil district in Hodeidah province, the rebels said. The Israeli military said more than 20 Israeli fighter jets took part in the operation, dropping more than 50 munitions on dozens of targets. On Sunday, the Houthis launched a missile from Yemen that struck an access road near Israel's main airport, briefly halting flights and commuter traffic. 4 people were lightly injured. It was the first time a missile struck the grounds of Israel's airport since the start of the war. The Houthis claimed that the strikes were a joint Israeli-American operation. However, a U.S. defense official said U.S. forces did not participate in the Israeli strikes on Yemen on Monday. The strikes were not part of Operation Rough Rider, which is the ongoing U.S. military operation against the Houthis in Yemen to prevent them from targeting ships in the Red Sea that started March 15. The official spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters. Separately, the U.S. military launched multiple strikes Monday on the Yemeni capital, Sana'a, another U.S. official said. That official also spoke on condition of anonymity, to discuss military operations.
هذا حريق المازوت المتسرب من المولد.
كل جهة أكسدة النيران تتصاعد في هذا المكان. طبعا هذا المكان شهد وقوع
طيران عدوان استهدف مصنع اسمنت باجل.